Hi, happy Friday. Where you been? I've been here. No, I wasn't here last week. I ended up with one of those weeks where the day just went completely out of control. And I think it's important for us to be able to recognize when we're putting too much in and not going to do a good job anyway, and to decide to like dial it back. So this one's going to be dialed back as well. So few minutes, wanted to pop in, say hi, say thank you all so much for listening to the podcast. It's on all major platforms right now, and episode 6 just went out, which is uh, things that go bump. So yes, it's talking about spirit activity, but also what do we bump in and amongst ourselves. So episode 6 is up. It's up to somewhere around, the last time I checked, 862 listens, and I'm so grateful. And that's for all 6 episodes. And my goal would be to get to 1,000 by tomorrow. So I'm hoping it gets there. If we don't have a goal, what the heck's the point, right? So I'm very appreciative for the reception that it's received. I'll be back in the studio on Monday. And to that point, if you have questions that you would like me to address, I'm going to be doing an Ask Vicky episode where I collect all the questions and I answer them right there. Some of them may sound like readings, and they probably will be, but I'll do it much like I do here, where it hopefully applies to the majority of the human experience. So the podcast will keep going, and just did a bunch of interviews, and they'll be on intermittently as well. And the online classes are a go. The date hasn't been advertised yet. I know it. And I'll just say that it's very soon. So you'll be able to sign on and take courses with me from wherever you are in your pajamas. Hi, Wendy. And, where you're comfortable. They'll be recorded. So if I know some of you, that's going to be a little challenging with international time zones, but they'll be recorded, and then there'll be some live Facebook interaction with me in this private group if you sign up for the class. And there's just a lot of fun stuff that's happening, and a lot of behind the scenes going on. So that's kind of what gets jammed up sometimes. When you're building a project and it's a little bit more front loaded than you anticipated. Oh, yeah, that's what's happening. So, but I did want to pop in and say hi, because I missed you guys. And I really look forward to this time. May need to find a time that's not in between appointments, but I'll talk to my boss about that and see what's available. And, but something was coming up this week that has really touched me, and I wanted to maybe throw this out there for your consideration. So we all know that our intuitive sense is part of our wiring, part of our total makeup, right, of who we are from the soul level, including the human element of us. And when I'm working with someone, it's come up a lot this week that people are really doubting who they are and having real negative chatter happening and really being down on themselves. And I was talking to someone who's actually an electrician, and I said to him, well, you know how to do wiring, right? Like, you understand that if we're going to wire for a dryer, we need the 220, but we don't necessarily need that for lamps or TVs or anything like that. And he's like, yeah, of course. And I said, so there's standard wiring protocol, being human, hello. And then there's individual wiring. Like, do you want lights in your ceiling, can't remember what they're called, hat something. Do you want a fountain? Do you need to be able to tap into your USB ports in every room and that kind of stuff? So there's special wiring too. And I happen to think that each of us have our own unique wiring combination, wiring harnesses, even how that wiring gets fired. And then I was talking to someone else who was just really down on herself about not getting jobs completed. And we talked about, well, maybe some of that is a physiological wiring. So is there a potential for attention deficit there? And, is it not just the stress that's going on? Maybe there's an actual something to look into that she could get support for, so she could stop beating herself up and start really appreciating. And that's one of the things I asked her to do, was to start finding, and not really finding because it's already there, but locating within herself what was that made her unique. Like, she's a gifted artist, and some of the stuff she shows me, not in this lifetime am I ever going to be able to create, and that's okay, because my wiring is in different context, right? So, but being able to see that she didn't have a wiring deficit simply because she couldn't focus on a job or attack something the way I might. She had a gift in another area. And I feel like we negate that a lot in ourselves. And yet I also know how stinking boring would it be if we all liked the same things, if we were all wired the same way. And wouldn't conversations be, I just wouldn't be interested. I'd probably be living on the side of a mountain all by myself, talking to myself like I do anyway. So I wondered if you are tough on yourself about how you are put together, how you are wired. And this would be including the messages you received through teachers, childhood, society, downloaded message, although the downloaded messages are always going to be supportive, as well as what are your experiences in previous lifetimes? Like, what have you brought forth as your own audio visual wiring? I just had a picture of those. Remember the VCR and everything, where you had 6 copies of them now, when things started to go to HDMI, and now you got all these other wiring things around. So is there wiring that's no longer serving you that you could release? Do you need to upgrade your wiring? And all of those are valid questions if you start in a place where you can appreciate your wiring. And that may be how you see a situation or how you appreciate another's wiring. I had the great honor of being able to attend a Special Olympics basketball tournament training last week, and I had the best time ever. Why? Because everybody was appreciating everybody else's wiring. No one was trying to change anybody. No one cared if they shot at the wrong basket. And it was just such a loving environment that it also, I think, reminded me that however I'm wired is fantastic for Vicki Baird. And it doesn't matter if other people aren't on board with that wiring. I'm still going to share what I believe to be true, at least for right now. And then once I learn new stuff, I'll add to that. So have you looked at how you're wired? Like, have you ever asked yourself, if I look at my own unique combination, what does that contribute to this world, and how does that contribute to the world? And what if I allowed my full wiring to be known to me? It doesn't have to be on display. It doesn't have to be that you go out and you flash everybody your electrical panel. That was a great visual. That's what just came up. You don't have to be telling everybody what your wiring is. But if you look at your wiring as being in a deficit and you don't do anything about it, that is on you. Because we have to take accountability, and I'd like appreciation to be there before accountability, because if you appreciate, you start to be a little bit softer towards yourself, and then maybe the accountability is that you do need to switch that laundry over, or you do have to get back to people, or you realize that I'm really bad at paying my bills, I need help. So whatever it might be, and yeah, good point, Mick, that occasionally our wiring shorts out. And that may look like meltdowns. You may even feel like you're not capable of handling whatever's in front of you. And I promise you, if you made it to today, you are capable of handling, brilliantly walking through, navigating, whatever terminology you want to use, whatever challenge is in front of you. If you're willing to say, I have these abilities, I have the smarts, I have my first sense, and I have my other five, so dang it, I am amazing. And if it short circuits, it has to short circuit at some point, because we overload our circuits. We don't allow for the decompression that's necessary. I had somebody say to me last week that they thought, this is going to be kind of convoluted, but I thought they were boring because we weren't always on the go in the time we were hanging out together. And I said, well, where does that come from? And what was reflected back to me was, I always seem to be on the go. Well, that's my wiring. I like to be active. I like to be invested. But I'm also not announcing when I'm holding down the couch, when I'm cutting everything off at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night because I'm going to go do my meditation. And if you interrupt that, it's not pretty. So I choose do not disturb. So you can't interrupt it. So that powering down makes it possible for me to appreciate my wiring, because I used to beat myself up for being a doer and a go-getter and all that kind of stuff. And then I realized, wait a minute, that stuff's cool. So let me find a place where I'm not flipping circuits. And you get that little red patch and you know which one it is. So you got to flip it back over. So if you preload the calm, the decompression through meditation, through exercise, through hanging out with a friend, having a good cup of tea. I love that hot cinnamon tea. So good. Or painting, or whatever gets you to that space of where the shoulders come out of the ears and you're like, hey, things are pretty cool. If you front load that, you have plenty of energy, and you don't have to short circuit in the wiring. So on an emotional component, Miss Michelle, if you allow for those places of I'm sad, I'm hurt, I'm pissed, frustrated, don't know what to do, scared, lonely, out of balance, any of those emotions, when we allow them to be there, the shorting out is probably still going to happen, but you're probably hangry, or tired, or dehydrated. So there's not enough water flowing around out there, people. You guys need to drink more. So in this week, I wonder if you would take the time to appreciate your wiring and to give a little bit of space for what is the gift of my wiring, and be in that appreciation. And then you can look at what needs to shift, and maybe if you need a new pattern, come see me. I can help with that. I must now go because I just realized it's a couple minutes after 3, and my intention is always to be on time, and I'm not going to be on time. So I'll work on that wiring. I hope you have a great weekend. Don't get too wrinkled if you're in the Berkshires. It's a little soggy out there, but the flowers need it. So thank you so much. I missed you guys. I will see you again soon, and keep an eye out for the announcements that are coming. Hope to see you in those classes.